Good morning, everyone. I think my favorite thing about all of this is watching the liberal hypocrisy run rampant. Like they're such hypocrites on everything. It's unbelievable. So Justin Trudeau is using the recording, Jody Wilson-Raybould's recording of Mr. Wernick, to justify expelling her from caucus, Jody Wilson-Raybould. He's using that and talking about how when trust is lost, blah, 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 we can't continue, and diversity requires trust. Yeah, we'll tell that to all the Syrian refugees who keep getting arrested for sexual assaults and blowing things up in Vancouver, right? But back to the cabinet issue, how do you excuse expelling Dr. PhilPott when she didn't record Mr. Wernick? She didn't have anything to do with that at all. And how do you justify making this about recording the phone call when the contents of the phone call are highly irregular and probably illegal? Really, it's incredible. But first, I want to take us back to February 12th, when Justin Trudeau says, "Nobody brought any concerns to me. Nobody told me, and it's Jody Wilson-Raybould's fault. She should have told me if there was something improper going on." We're going to watch two of these because he doubles down on it back to back. This is back when this story just broke. This is way back when SNC-Lavalin was maybe going to still get a DPA. They're still maybe going to get a DPA. I've seen tweets that Lametti's already got it drafted. Just wait till Easter.
Because if anyone, particularly the Attorney General, felt that we were not doing our job fully, responsibly, and according to all the rules as a government, it was her responsibility to come forward to me this past fall and highlight that directly to me. She did not. Nobody did. And that's why I continue to be puzzled and obviously disappointed by her decision to step.
Right. Puzzled and disappointed, and lost in the paper bag that is his bathroom. Okay, here is Justin Trudeau a few days later. That was February 12th. This is February 15th. This is the one that Pierre Poilievre continues to, well, this is the one that he's referencing in the House in the next clip we're going to watch.
If anyone, including the former Attorney General, had issues with anything they might have experienced in this government or didn't feel that we were living up to the high standards we set for ourselves, it was her responsibility to come forward. It was their responsibility to come forward, and no one did.
But
right, yeah, no one did. No one did, except. Okay, so we're gonna watch this. This is all pretty important. So this is going to be about 2.5 minutes here. Well, hold on a second. So this is going to be a bit of a longer clip, and I'm going to cut it up. I'm going to pause it halfway through. I want to talk about a couple of things that Trudeau's saying. He tries to start talking about climate change. He desperately wants this election, the 2019 election, to be about climate change. Every time he gets a chance, he tries to turn the page onto climate change. He ends this little retort with, "They have no plan." But Mr. Poilievre is setting a trap, and Trudeau walks right into it. He has no idea what's coming. So I just showed you him saying what Mr. Poilievre is talking about here. Mr. Poilievre talks and outlines all of the meetings and says, watch the trap unfold. It's great. So we're going to watch it. I'm going to pause it. Carry on. Let's go.
Canadians, if anyone thought he'd done anything wrong on SNC, then, quote, "It was their responsibility to come forward, and no one did." Yet text messages, journal entries, and audio recordings prove the former Attorney General did come forward and complain to him and his top staff on September 16th, 17th, 19th, October 26th, November 22nd, December 5th, 18th, and 19th. Does he really claim that he knew absolutely nothing about the complaint she brought forward in more than a half dozen meetings?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in my direct encounter meeting with the former Attorney General in September, I confirmed to her that the decision around a DPA was hers and hers alone. That is what has been clear throughout this entire process. There have been 13 hours of testimony, including 4 by the former Attorney General, allowed for by the fact that we put forward an unprecedented waiver that suspended solicitor-client privilege in this matter, that suspended cabinet confidentiality so that she could speak fully to this matter that was being looked at by the Justice Committee.
The member for Carleton.
And at that September meeting, the Attorney General reports that she looked the Prime Minister in the eye and said, "Are you interfering with my role as Attorney General? Because I strongly advise against it." Does the Prime Minister remember her saying any such thing?
Honourable Prime Minister.
And Mr. Speaker, once she said that, I responded, no, I am not. It is her decision to make. And she then committed to revisit and look into the decision once again, Mr. Speaker. All these are elements in the testimony that we have heard, that the Justice Committee examined exhaustively. But once again, we see the member opposite is desperate to talk about anything other than our budget, anything other than the economic growth we're putting forward, anything other than our concrete plan to fight climate change, because they have no plan on any of that.
No plan.
The honourable member for Carleton.
And now the Prime Minister has caught himself in a trap of his own making. He came out on February 15th and said that no one had come forward to raise any concerns about his conduct. And now he admits on the floor of the House of Commons that way before, in September, his own Attorney General asked him to his face if he was interfering. Why is it the Prime Minister having so much difficulty remembering his story? Is it because it's simply not true?
Order.
Sorry about that, everyone. Usually I pause it for all the clapping and stuff, but this is all kind of good stuff. So Mr. Poilievre caught him in a trap. He said prior, in February 2015, nobody had raised anything. And just then, he confirmed that in September, he was asked by his Attorney General, "Are you interfering in my file?" So that's raising concern. That's saying back off. That's saying no. Like, that's not, hey Bob, did you call one of my sales clients and basically try and steal them? "Oh, no, I didn't. I was just following up and, George asked me to, blah, blah, blah." That's kind of a normal thing, right? This is being caught out for lying. He lied to the Canadian people twice. February 12th, February 15th. And that's not experiencing things differently. The Jody Wilson-Raybould said to him, and he confirmed it, back off. Are you going to interfere in my justice file? "No, I'm not, until you won't give me what I want, and then I'm going to shuffle you out of it, fire you from your job, and put somebody who will." And when Lametti files his DPA Good Friday, or the day before Good Friday, Thursday before Good Friday, or, summer, maybe he'll do it on the day before Canada Day, Happy Canada Day, SNC, but he'll do it because this is a liberal asset. I've talked about this before. This is years and years and years. Look at how much money SNC has given to political parties, heavily favoring the Liberals over the Conservatives. And they've been in trouble for it a few times, but this is a Liberal asset that keeps on giving, right? There's all sorts of schemes that if you donate the maximum amount to your local EDA, you get a raise in that amount, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All sorts of stuff that SNC does in shady ways to funnel money to their preferred political party. So if they don't get a deal, well, that 2019 election's slipping away because they don't have any money, because they've sent it all over the world, right? And now Trudeau has admitted to lying to the Canadian public twice, at least twice, maybe multiple times. So hold on, I'll see if there's more to this that we should watch. Okay, I'm going to show you Mr. Poilievre's final speech on this. I'm going to skip Justin's answer. He talks about rule of law and having a united team, and we're all working for Canadians. Blah blah. It's the same patent garbage. Like, it's the same trash that he always spins. It's trash.
Well, now the Prime Minister has effectively admitted that when he looked 37 million Canadians in the eye on February the 15th and told them that the Attorney General had never spoken a word about her concerns, that he was stating a patent falsehood. There is a word for that kind of falsehood that I cannot utter on the floor of the House of Commons. Will the Prime Minister, having now caught himself in his own trap of contradiction and deception now apologize to the Canadian people for stating that falsehood on February 15th.
And like I said, we're not going to listen to the answer because it's trash, but it is good to see that people are seeing that he's lying. And yeah, he lied. Here's 2 clips. Links are in the description. He's lying. He knows he's lying. He knows the facts. He knows what happened. He knows what he told his people to do. It's incredible. Reuters, I got it, is reporting Trudeau told reporters that Jody Wilson-Raybould had not raised any concerns with him about how Ottawa was handling the case of a construction company SNC-Lavalin Group, except when she said and looked Justin Trudeau directly in the eye and said, "Are you interfering in my file? Are you interfering in the justice file?" Yep, right up until you don't do what I wanted you to do, and then I'll fire you. Okay, so this is Miss Wilson-Raybould and Dr. PhilPott being interviewed yesterday. Miss Wilson-Raybould here is talking directly about recording Wernick, and I'm going to let it run till she's talking about protecting herself, and then I'll fast forward. I just want to show you a couple of things here. This is already it's about on time for me. So I saw this yesterday, and I thought, man, like, there's still more. I think they're both loaded. They've both got more, and there's more coming, and I don't know when it's going to be unloaded, but there's definitely more here. So this is on Jody Wilson-Raybould and protecting herself.
Recorded that tape. There's nothing illegal about it, and I said in any other circumstance it would be inappropriate. I was protecting myself. I knew that something very dangerous and wrong was going to happen, and that my job was at risk. So
I'm just going to fast forward to the next clip. Before I do, though, I think that underlines one of the important talking points about this whole thing. She was protecting herself, 1, and 2, she had feelings that something untoward was going to happen. She had feelings that if she didn't record this, that she would not be armed, right? She would be in a situation where it was he said, she said, and she looked at the tools at hand and said, that's not illegal to do. I guess I'll do that. So it seems really strange. Obstruction of justice is illegal. Pressuring the Attorney General is directly illegal. Talks about that in our laws, in our Constitution. It talks about this. Like, we have to have an independent judiciary. Without that, what kind of democracy do we have? We have crony capitalism and buddies who get DPAs years after they've had charges laid. Years after they've had charges laid. And after hundreds of thousands, or if not millions of dollars in lobbying costs and prostitutes bought. Like, what is our government if not, well, democracy, right? And people having a disagreement. But when it gets to this point where you get fired and then maligned for saying, well, hold on, this isn't legal. Yeah, well, it's legal enough. Play ball. You're a cabinet minister after all, right? Crazy. Okay, here's Miss Wilson-Raybould talking about the unconscionable language used by Trudeau. And, here it is.
Seemed to make the firing offense. I mean, in his speech, he referred explicitly to the lack of trust, and he explicitly he called it unconscionable to record the clerk of the Privy Council. And that seemed to be among many of your colleagues as well, what they considered the straw that broke the camel's back. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think that, first of all, trust is a two-way street. And talking about unconscionable, I think it is, and I can talk about the tape in a minute, it's unconscionable to tread over the independence of the prosecutor. It is unconscionable not to uphold the rule of law. And I have always maintained that stance. I think it is very alarming that people are focusing on the actual recording of a tape as opposed to the contents of the tape. The contents of the tape, in my view, and in the view of many people that have reached out, speak for itself. I said and explained in my submission why I did that. But I'll say, I recorded that tape. There's nothing illegal about it, and I said in any other circumstance it would be inappropriate. I was protecting myself. I knew that
And we heard the rest of that earlier because I got the order switched around. I thought she said that part later. So it's interesting to see what she's talking about. Trust is a two-way street. When you liberals start smearing me, maybe we weren't as good friends as I thought we were, right? When that happens, when all of the cabinet members come out and start talking about how terrible she is, well, I mean, if that happens to you, you know who your friends really are, right? Looks like her friend's standing right beside her. So I'm actually, no, I'm not going to leave that here. I've got a couple more clips to show you. Hold on. Okay, so this is Dr. PhilPott. She has been expelled from cabinet. And so with that, I think her lips have been loosened a little bit. She explains why she stepped down from her cabinet position. It was because she couldn't defend saying that nothing untoward happened with SNC. I'll let her explain, but that's what she's saying here. She was just asked this question in French, and she explained it in French, and the translator says it all, and then she kind of says it again in English. It's a little bit of a different story, but it's the same kind of feel. So we'll do the English one, but no, there's a lot more in here. This will be the last clip I show today, but this I think is very, very damaging, because she's saying the Liberals appear to be continuing down this road of just saying nothing to see here. We're gonna close ranks and carry on till October. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. But Dr. PhilPott seems to be, distressed by that, which, I mean, good. Morals are a good thing.
What happened was that after this story became known in the public, and it was clear that there had been attempts to persuade the former Attorney General to intervene in a criminal trial, and the communications of the government were to deny that took place, I could not come out here in good conscience and deny it, because I believed what the former Attorney General said. And there comes a point as a cabinet minister, you don't necessarily agree with every single decision that's made, but you have to, around that table, say, we've discussed this, I'm on board, I can go out there and defend the government's decision. On this, I couldn't. What about all your...
So she said, around the table, we've discussed this, I can go out there and defend the government. On this, I couldn't, right? So on this, they were asking me to say something that wasn't true, and I couldn't do it. And that's why she's out of cabinet. I was lamenting earlier, why her, when she wasn't the one who was taping Mr. Wernick, and she lays it out. I can't lie for the government. I can't carry water for these liars. Remember? Liar in chief. And you can't call him a liar on the House floor, but he lied. He lied, and then he admitted it. And he's a liar. He admitted it in the House, and he got called out on it by his former president of the Treasury Board, and former Attorney General, saying, yeah, there's a lot more to this story. There's a lot more to see here, and the things that you say aren't true. So, liar in chief, Justin Trudeau. Prime liar? I'm not sure of the ring of that, but I don't know. Liar in chief sounds too presidential, and that's not what he is. So, interesting times. There's still more to come. Thanks for watching, everybody. I've got a different style video coming up for this afternoon. I've got it all set up. It was going to be part of this video, but this video is already way too long. So thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com if you've got some time, and check out the People's Party of Canada.ca. Have a wonderful day.